But I do want to go around the table on this. Do you believe that there is a patriarchy? I think this is a yes or no. I'm gonna go around the table.
Just like plain yes or no question?
Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
I believe there's patriarchal values definitely in the majority of societies, just because throughout society, males have definitely been in the leadership roles and everything like that. I wouldn't say that there's a necessary like straight patriarchy and that's the only way you can look at it, but there are definitely patriarchal values in most societies where men lead.
Yes.
No.
I think we're in a little bit of patriarchy society.
Okay.
I actually think that the patriarchy is necessary. It's a necessary entailment of descriptive reality.
Yeah, I would also say patriarchy is a real thing. I would disagree with your guys' definition of it. I also view patriarchy as a principle to be a very good thing. And as somebody said in the super chat earlier during the show, I think patriarchy is something that has historically actually protected women. So one of the patriarchal structures. What, you want to move on?
No, but I mean, I want to ask the women here, what is the patriarchy?
Yeah. I was actually about to ask them too the same thing, or if you have a contribution.
Well, you've asserted that it exists, so the burden is on you to articulate what precisely.
But he said it exists too.
Yeah. I didn't say that.
I can articulate how I see patriarchy, okay. But Brian's asking you guys, what is it?
I mean, if you're asking my own view, I don't think there's a patriarchy because I think we live in a gynocentric society. But what's your?
I think the patriarchy. So from the beginning.
Can you talk straight into the mic, please?
Yeah. Okay, so we were always raised with our parents and our grandparents, and the advice that I was given through my mother and the advice that I was given through my male family members.
Hold on.
Modest Hikima donated $200. Brixon, thanks for saving me the time, money and brain cells by raising the TTS. Chase gonna be headbutt that mic all night long. Madison, welcome back. Real. Girl 1,3, read a book please. At whatever shorts too.
Yo, Jacama, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yeah, do you not think that
you're saying your parents, your grandparents?
How present was it
Speak
with
into your mic, please.
Yeah, so when you are raised traditionally, you're raised by your father and your mother, and your father does a certain task and your mothers do the certain task. So patriarchy is also like kind of aligned with like traditionalism, and you guys like traditionalism. Mm-hmm. I'm not ever saying specifically I hate the patriarchy. I'm saying that there's things that get to a certain point where it's not about protecting women and it's not about the protection of everybody. It's about making your power the most in the room.
Gotcha.
But so what is the patriarchy?
Is being primarily raised by a father or a father figure in this society.
You're saying patriarchal traditions within the family are the patriarchy societally? Because what I heard you say is there's patriarchal tradition within families, but there's also men in society. It sounds like you're saying that exploit women.
Families are in society.
Okay.
Here,
go ahead. What is the patriarchy?
I think it's less about like who's on top of our society. Well, I mean, you can see that there is a patriarchy in how our government works. There's a lot of men on the top, CEOs and politicians and stuff like that. But more intrinsically, I believe that has to do with the social values that we hold. Like she said, within our families, but more of like within our day-to-day actions, within the way that we as women and even you as men can go about things. So like, I think it's more about social values and social occurrences. So one thing with how the patriarchy affects men, for example, is men's ability to express their feelings. So it's often said that men cannot thoroughly express their feelings or do not feel safe to express their feelings because it's viewed as like feminine or...
Grid 1 Motorsports donated $200. I am patriarch. I protect and value my wife and children. They sleep under the blanket of protection I provide. the leader of the family, the bedrock upon all that is built. You should be as fortunate.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Very
one.
based.
So you were saying that
Men can't express their feelings
Men can't
because of the patriarchy.
Yes,
I would
be a
actually
patriarchal value, I think.
I would
told
actually
that they're
argue
not
that's
supposed
something
to.
that women enforce on men, not that other men enforce on other men.
I don't know. Most women that I've encountered have been not really caring or like pretty neutral, and if not,
Not really caring about men.
no, about men
Male
contributing their
emotions.
feelings. So like neutral about, I guess, okay, not negative. They're more positive and accepting of it from the women that I've met. Now I do understand that there are women that are not accepting of men's feelings. If that does that?
Well,
is that coming
I'm
across?
sort
I
of
don't
more
know
so
a lot
talking
of
about
them.
vulnerability, and typically when men display vulnerability in a romantic and dating context, that's typically punished by potential romantic partners.
Yes,
It is.
very much so. Absolutely.
Potential romantic partners or a
feel like-
romantic partner.
Both.
In your
well,
opinion-
I
in
would
your
argue,
opinion,
there's a very big
ladies,
difference.
ladies.
There's a very big
I would
difference.
argue, as far as potential romantic partners go, I mean, women. If a guy wants a girl and he's showing weakness early on in the relationship, or like maybe is too deep in his feelings and negative emotions, I've heard it from many girls, gives them the ick real fast,
Okay,
makes them
yeah.
unattracted. But what I would also say is, if a man has an established romantic relationship with a woman and she really respects him and is very attracted to him, that gives the man room to open up and be vulnerable with like weakness or those like,
Yeah, so maybe
like if-
there's just certain times and places where people should be vulnerable. Like, I'm not going to come up here and then cry to you about my problems and expect you to
Well,
be
it's less about-
empathetic with me because we don't know each other like
it's
that.
yeah, no, I know, but it's
Yeah.
less about that there's certain times and places to be vulnerable, and it's
Yeah, that's the
hold
thing.
on, it's to Brian's point that she's saying that men not expressing their emotions is because of patriarchal structures disincentivizing men from expressing their emotions. But the reality is, if I take a girl out on a date and I start crying about something in the beginning of the date, there's like a 75 to 90% chance it's going to give the girl the ick, which is to Brian's point that this is something that's often regulated by females.
Wouldn't that
Wouldn't that
but
turn
I'm
you
not
off
sitting
too
here-
if a girl
What?
cried on a first date?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it
Would be
depends.
more
It depends.
socially
That's like a
it would be more
very
socially
skewed
acceptable, and it
way of,
depends.
like,
It wouldn't be.
saying
Yes,
that.
It would be.
yes, it absolutely would.
Yeah.
There's no question.
No question.
Like,
Yeah. Like if you go to a party and
I feel
there's
like we're
a girl
living in,
crying
like,
in the
different
corner,
reality
you're kind of like,
fields.
oh, poor
Wait.
girl. If the guy's doing it, you're like, what the hell?
In
Yeah.
any case, to keep it moving on,
I mean,
want-
did you
would
want
you
to
say
That's
what
not
the
what I
hell?
think.
Like I was
ladies,
crying?
ladies,
Stop.
ladies,
Not what I
That's
think.
really
ladies.
like that's you.
Yo,
Azure,
Yo,
Azure.
stop.
Most people
We asked
probably
you
think.
earlier before the show began. Please respect the show's rules. You keep violating them. Let's have a civil discussion with one person.
Did you want to add anything to your sense of what the patriarchy is?
I think that was a pretty solid example
Okay.
of what the patriarchy does in our society.
What about you?
Well, you asked for the definition, correct?
your
Sure.
definition?
Yeah.
Or my definition. So in my opinion, it's the hierarchy of males in American society, politically and
Sociologically.
Societally, yes.
Okay.
The roles of. Is there more to that
So
sentence?
it's just that men are throughout the hierarchy, and
Yes,
they're
there's a hierarchy with that's my definition.
And men. So are you saying men occupy the top positions of power, both
most-
politically, in corporations, etc.
Yes.
Okay. Perhaps societally too. Okay. What about you? I think you said that you believe there's a patriarchy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, a patriarchy is definitely defined by, the predominant male leadership roles in a society, right?
Okay.
And, I think it's pretty true that, throughout our society, women had the inability to vote, for example, right? Women had the inability to
Over
even...
100 years ago, but
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
sure if the inability to vote is evidence of a current patriarchy, but
Yeah. No, but I'm saying, like throughout our society, right? That's definitely kind of been a factor, right? And I think we're off
so
a
you're
lot-
talking historically.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, we are off a lot better now. I think there are still, some political roles, some roles in, bigger companies and everything like that, where you can still see male dominated roles. But I feel like as a society, we are becoming a lot more equal, but I think there are still some leftovers.